in Tel Aviv. And Miri is a retired colonel in the Israel Defense Forces and a senior fellow at the International Institute for Counterterrorism. It's good to have you this morning. I really want to get some insight from you with your long experience with military and defense. Thank you. Defense Minister Katz has just said that he and Netanyahu have, quote, instructed the IDF to intensify strikes against strategic targets in Iran and against government sites in Tehran to, quote, remove the threats facing the state of Israel and, quote, destabilize the Ayatollah's regime. You will know better than most what those targets would be. So let's start there. Can you provide us some insight into thinking here?
What Israel has been attacking since June 13th, Friday morning, and consistently, not just going back to the same sites, but expanding it, I'm going to call it 5 different types of targets, and that's what we are targeting. We're targeting the nuclear sites. We've attacked a lot of them. We haven't yet attacked all of them. We're going back to some of them. That's to really degrade and continue to demolish. There's a variety of nuclear sites inside Iran. The second element is that we have consistently been attacking different high-ranking decision makers in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And in this case, when we say the regime, we're talking about the Mullah regime, and we're especially talking about that arm of the Mullah regime, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which includes both all of the different missile drone capabilities, what they're going to call air and space, and all of the nuclear decision makers there. So those are also targets. What we've expanded and been doing more of are the different installations where they make weapons, capabilities, all of the different elements in the nuclear weapon quest, in the missile, the long-term, long-range missiles. So these are all different types of targets. And last but not least at all is we're consistently targeting air defense systems, because what enables us, our capability to keep on attacking as we are, only against all of these different military type targets, is our air superiority. So we're attacking the air defenses, the nuclear, Iranian Revolutionary Guard figures, and everything that has to do with missiles and drones.
I want to get your sense on whether you think that targeting the supreme leader is still a possibility, despite the US president expressing opposition to that.
Listen, Khamenei for the last 35 years, and I follow his, we call it X now, his tweets. In a sarcastic way, Becky will say that everybody should follow his tweets because he's very clear, and this isn't from the last week. For the last 35 years, and ever since he can tweet, he calls for the annihilation of the Zionist entity. He calls us, and I'm being sarcastic, I'm the one saying it, that we're the cancer tumor of the world that needs to be eradicated. I don't think that he is absolved and that we can't attack him. Having said that, he is, and he's been the figure for the last 35 years. He is an inspiration as the ideology, both on the annihilation of Israel, on backing all of the proxies that they both give the weapons to, give the ideology to, tell them to continue to attack. Remember me, the illegal Zionist entity. And again, I apologize for being sarcastic. That never works well on TV. But I think that he is certainly somebody who could be attacked. I'm not sure how effective it would be, but it doesn't mean that he's immune.
And to just press this point, and I hear what you're saying there, how would Israeli officials be preparing for the potential aftermath of what would be a pretty seismic move?
So even if we don't kill him, and we may not, I'm going to be, again, just, matter of fact. The man is 88 years old. Like, he's not going to be here forever. Thinking about who's going to replace Khamenei has been on everybody's minds for many years. I think that this regime, under Khamenei for 35 years, is very well structured to continue to be a harsh Islamic dictatorship over Iran. But let's be clear, it's Persian-speaking Iranians that are part of it. It's locals who are part of it. I'm sure that there are lots of people who totally oppose it. But when you have the reins of the regime, the capabilities, and you use it against your own people, whoever will come after him, the question will just be, for me, is he just as extreme as Khamenei, or less. I don't think that you can be more extreme than Khamenei, certainly when it comes to the existence of Israel, but also in the way that he looks at all of the West. Just in the last few days, he's threatened the United States, the UK, Germany, France, that they shouldn't participate. And I'll remind you that the same missiles that have been attacking Israel, where we have air defense and where I'm not going to ever say we're used to it, but where we know how to act, they can reach Berlin or London, or for that matter, Beijing as well. So just take that into account when we think about who comes after.
Yesterday, a message from Donald Trump to Israel, keep going, was what he said very specifically when asked by a reporter. Donald Trump saying, though, he may or may not direct the US to become more militarily involved. I just want to hear or get our viewers this sound from an expert on this region who I spoke to yesterday at this time, who described how she sees that decision by Trump.
President Trump currently has a choice of taking a diplomatic off-ramp, which the Iranians are signaling that they are interested in actively pursuing through back-channel talks, or to take a war of choice. Actually, maybe it's not even a war of choice. It's being dragged by Prime Minister Netanyahu kicking and screaming into this conflict with Iran. And the thought that this is going to be a short runway or a quick hit and run, I think just defies every single example of US military intervention we've seen in North Africa and in the Middle East over the past 2 decades. Once you open up this Pandora's box, we have no idea where things go. And this will most likely consume the rest of President Trump's presidency.
What do you make of Ellie's argument? And do you agree that if the US gets involved militarily, that this conflict could consume the rest of the Trump presidency?
The only thing, Becky, I'm never willing to make a prediction about is what President Trump will do next. So I really don't know if he will or won't. What you asked was, if they do participate, what that will mean. I disagree with the speaker before in a very respectful way, but I think that there are different opinions on where this goes out. For me, sitting in the Middle East, and you're also in the Middle East right now, all of us are already in this war. And the fact that the outside forces are not, this regime has consistently, for the last 35 and even 45 years, openly backed places, given supplies. I mean, Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, and others fighting against Israel in its own way. And I know I'm going to sound a little sarcastic. It's as if, as long as it's against Israel, it's not our problem. And to me, that's not the way I look at it. And so I think that direct U.S. involvement is something that would not bring about a bigger conflict, that this Islamic regime should be accountable, not for the rhetoric, but for the actions of what they've done, at least over the last 35 years with all of their different proxies, and over the last 6 days as they fire at Israel. But in general, they are the destabilizer, both within the Middle East and outside. And trying to change that equation is a better thing for the world, not a worse thing. And letting it be, letting it fester, for me as an Israeli, is what brought about on October 7th. And the additional aspect is that as long as they only attack Israel, then it's okay. I have a problem with that as an Israeli.